Game day.
Welcome in to another episode of Chiefs Focus Live. We've got an AFC Championship game to talk about, and for the seventh year in a row, the Chiefs are in it. 6 out of 7 that is being hosted as the Arrowhead Invitational. So we're going to talk about everything Chiefs-Bills coming up. We've got this running the show in the background. My name is Quentin Morris, and now two guys who are emptying their PayPal account to pay the refs. It is the professor and the old man JP himself.
Hey man, they got to pull it off. I'm broke right now. I put all my money in there. Crypto and all is in there.
we hope you hit it big, man.
Me too. So them refs got to make sure they pay their house payment with that money I send. How you guys doing?
Good to be back. Glad the weather messed up everything for a couple of weeks, but now everything's back to normal. So
yeah, it's been. You guys had it rough. I didn't.
Oh, dude, you don't have no idea. It was.
I seen
it. Literally messed up everything. Everything got messed up. Everything.
I heard it was rough. I mean, I got a friend that just moved to Lawrence, and I told him before he moved there. I said, "You're dumb. You shouldn't. You don't want to do this. I'm just telling you. If you're worried about the weather, you're worried about this, worried about that, don't do it. Oh, it'll be good. I went to college at KU. I said, okay.
Okay, that's the difference between college and adult.
Exactly.
20 years passes. So
yeah. So he gets there, and when that big ass snowstorm hit, and it was 10 below wind chills, and couldn't see his dog outside. I called him. I said, "How's it going out there?" "This sucks." I said, "I told you."
Yeah.
I told you, man.
It was not a fun in the coldest week. Woo.
It's crazy. I live in Colorado, and you guys got it way worse than I do. Way worse.
You got the mountains at least.
Yeah. I mean, I got something to look at, but it's weird. I mean, where I'm at here, we just don't get that weather like that. It's cold right now. We get a little cold.
The mountains probably block everything.
I think,
it insulates to an extent.
Yeah. I mean, we're cold right now. What's up, Will? We're jumping around from Wednesday to Thursday, man, because everything's going on right now with the weather, but we're back, Will. The coldest it's been here is 1 below 0 at night. This is the last week. It was our cold snap. And now next week it's going to be close to 50 again. So, I mean, this part of Colorado just doesn't get it that bad. And I love it. I mean, it's great. So, anyway, we got a game coming up, a big game, a very important game.
Yeah. So you guys want to talk Bills offense versus Chiefs defense first? You want to talk Chiefs offense versus Bills defense first?
Let's do the Bills offense first, because I got a crazy stat about that.
Yeah, I got a couple of stats to talk about too. So I think this is the more interesting conversation as well.
It is.
So why don't you go first, JP?
Well, here's the weird thing. Everybody knows the Bills are 0-3 against us in the playoffs. That's a given. The crazy part is that the Bills' offensive numbers are actually better in the playoffs than they are in the 3 losses against us in the playoffs than they are in the regular season wins. All of their regular season wins against us. I mean, they have their average points per game are higher. Everything is better. Touchdown to interception ratio is better. Everything's better in the playoffs, but they've lost to us every time. That's a crazy thing. I mean, when you really think about it, that's kind of nuts. And not to mention the fact, here's another thing too. It's kind of interesting on all 4 teams that are left. Not one of these teams collectively, they're plus 15 in the turnover ratio. None of them have turned the ball over. They don't turn the ball over in the playoffs. Now, Washington, of course, this is the first time in 25, 30 years they've been in the playoffs, but it's just a simple fact that all 4 teams that are left have not turned the ball over in the playoffs. And that's pretty phenomenal.
So are you telling me this, JP, one of these 4 teams is going to have a turnover fest this weekend?
That's what it sounds like. I mean, I got a weird feeling it's the Eagles. I don't know why I feel like it's the Eagles. I just do. I could be wrong, but out of the 4 teams that are left, the 2 teams, and I hate to say the Bills because everybody thinks I'm a hater. That's not the reason. They're just prone to have turnovers. They had a really good season without him. I'm going to give them credit for that. They didn't have the fumble-rooskies like they normally have. They didn't have any of that stuff. But everything changes in the playoffs.
Yeah, Josh Allen has been much better over the last year and a half or so about not throwing dumb interceptions.
Yeah.
And I think it's a byproduct of the Bills not forcing Josh Allen to go superhero mode every single game. Yeah. I think that they're just a better overall team. And a lot of it comes to the fact that they've been able to run the ball more effectively. I think that comes down to a couple of things. One, the Buffalo Bills have a good offensive line, a top 5
Mhm.
offensive line in the NFL, and that has led to James Cook looking like one of the best running backs in the NFL. Um, that has also led to Josh Allen being able to spread the ball around more, right? Because
Mhm.
Stephon Diggs is gone, right?
Mhm.
You have,
Exactly.
of course, there's not a star wide receiver on that team.
No.
There's
Well,
not
the
someone
benefit
saying, "Give
of
me the ball."
right, exactly. The benefit
Mhm.
of not having that guy, quote unquote, that
Mhm.
guy in the locker room is there's nobody like AJ Brown reading a book on the sideline, trying and passive aggressively
Yep.
telling the quarterback
Mhm.
that, the problem is the passing game, right? You don't have that because Josh Allen is that guy and
Mhm.
there's no star receiver demanding the football.
Yep.
So Josh Allen has been able to pass the ball around more
More freely.
and the game has for the Bills has turned into more of what we've seen for the Chiefs, post Tyreek Hill getting traded, right?
That's what I was gonna
Where
say. Yeah.
it turned into, there wasn't one guy begging for the ball. It was how many different times during the broadcast have we seen Patrick Mahomes has completed the ball to 8 different receivers or 7 different receivers, right? In the first half, we've seen that stat come on the lower
Mhm.
third all the time. And
Yep.
that's what the Bills offense has turned into. And it's made the Bills less predictable and it's made them more effective and making sure that the ball isn't turned over. Josh Allen has
Mhm.
limited his interceptions.
And
Yeah.
one thing I say is he's gotten a lot better at that, and that's where it's going to be hard to figure out pick your poison. You deal with Shakur, are you going to deal with Shakur? You're going to deal with Kincaid? Like who's going to come at you? Because there's really no star. But also at the same time too, as long as the ball's in Allen's hands and he's on a roll, he's going to feel really good. But the thing is this: he really hasn't been taking any deep shots, and I think he knows at Kansas City, hey, if we want to get him, we need to take shots like we did in the divisional round game 3 years ago. So I believe he's going to try to take some shots to get where he needs to be. But at the same time, too, I would not be surprised if they play conservative. But knowing the magnitude in this game, because this is their Super Bowl, just to be honest with you, this is the Arrowhead Invitational, the 6th time the Chiefs have hosted it there. The Bills are going to come out swinging. They are going to go out swinging. And they're probably going to get a bomb or two. But I do believe the Chiefs can eventually stop them in certain areas when it comes to it the most. But we have to have a spy on Allen. You have to.
That's
Because
we.
otherwise he's going to run around like Cam Newton.
Yeah.
He's going
Yeah.
to run around, stiff arm, get loud, get happy. And when he gets loud and happy, the other guys get loud and happy. It's contagious.
It's a
I think
momentum thing.
Leo Chenal is probably the guy that'll be the
Yeah.
quarterback spy. And I think just because his size, he's big enough to be able to stop Josh Allen and he's athletic enough to, run after him.
Yeah.
He's also not a guy that you're depending on in the coverage game, where a guy like Reed or any of your other safeties, you're depending on them to keep those deep zones or sometimes in man coverage. So I
Mhm.
think a guy like a Chenal is probably the guy that you're depending on in that zone/spy game against Josh Allen.
Mhm.
I'm happy that you brought up the Bills run game and Josh Allen specifically because it's really weird that historically Josh Allen has been more effective running the ball in the playoffs against Kansas City than he has in the regular season. So
Mhm.
in the playoffs, with all of his matches, Allen has averaged 7.6 yards per carry. And in the regular season, he's averaged 4.1. That's a 3.5 yards per carry difference. And
Yeah.
that is a lot. That is a
That's huge.
huge difference. That
Yeah.
is gigantic in football. The difference between running 4 yards, 2nd and 6, and running almost 8 yards for 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3, 7.6 yards, like that is crazy. That is a huge difference. And I'm imagining that, look, the Bills had Josh Allen design runs against Baltimore. I imagine that we're going to see some more quarterback draws against Kansas City, and they're going to have to be ready for that. So
Mhm.
the linebackers are going to have to come ready to play and ready to hit because I imagine that if you're the Bills, why would you not use that? This is
Mhm.
potentially the last game of the year. You don't really care that about your health at this point, right? We've got Patrick Mahomes has talked about that, where he says that he's more willing to put his body on the line in the playoffs because you don't know if you're going to have a game next week.
Yeah.
Why isn't
Mhm.
Josh Allen going to use that same mantra? And we
Oh yeah.
saw that last week against Baltimore, where Josh Allen is ready to take some of those hits, and the guy's like 250 pounds, so he can bulldoze some dudes. So I'm expecting Josh Allen to have some quarterback design runs, and those linebackers have got to be ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, Nick Bolton plays a big part in that too. Nick Bolton is really good at spying out when that quarterback's going to run. He's got good vision when it comes to that. So I think we're going to be able to handle him there. And the fact that Allen, he went from a different kind of hero ball. And I don't know if anybody's noticed that. He went from the passing guy to the running guy as a hero ball. And I think that is where he's changed, because he doesn't have as many interceptions because of that reason, but also it also limits his game a little bit. And I think that's in the playoffs, that's going to hurt him a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to be a positive for him. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have some run plays designed specifically for him, but we're also going to have a defense. Spags is going to have a defense set up for that. That and that. I think this game is going to come down to being able to, Josh Allen, if he tries to go deep, he's going to pick on Watson. Watson's the guy that just came back. He knows he can't go against McDuffie. So, and none of his wide receivers can even handle McDuffie. I don't think he's really taking into consideration how good Watson is. And that's a huge thing.
I think it's really interesting you brought this up, because it's something I wanted to mention too. In the first meeting, obviously there was no Watson, but Trent McDuffie did not match up against Shakir one time.
No,
Trent McDuffie did not go on that side of the field. He did not play man against Khalil Shakir, and that's so strange to me. In the first matchup, Shakir had 8 catches for 70 yards. He cooked this defense, and with the way that he did that, I think that Watson and Shakir, it may end up being McDuffie lining up against Shakir, and you have Watson maybe on Amari Cooper, right? I know that this was something that Bill Belichick did quite a bit, is that he would take his number 1 corner and he would put his number 1 corner on your number 2 receiver, and then he would double team your number 1 receiver with his number 2 corner and a safety, right?
Interesting.
And I think that is a great idea, because you're basically guaranteeing that number 2 guy is out of the way. And I'm going to double team your number 1 guy anyways. Why would I sort of put, that number 1, my best corner, and then give him help? Instead, let's sort of divide our resources here.
Fair.
I think that
makes it easier.
Right. I think we could see something like that, where we saw that McDuffie didn't go up against Shakir at all. I think this time around, you end up doubling a guy like Amari Cooper, and then you take Trent McDuffie and you put him on Shakir, and you see what happens.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, go ahead, JP?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to kind of transition from that. We see that can easily help the passing game dealing against the Bills, but the run game, though, I'm a little concerned, because the Chiefs have had issues stopping the run. Do you guys think they could take a similar approach? Do you think they're just going to all blitzes? Because Cook is cooking fairly. He's doing his thing. So what do you guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Quentin.
I think that the Bills are going to come out trying to run the football. I really do believe that. This is a very balanced Buffalo offense. The Kansas City Chiefs blitzed at 35, almost 36% rate this season, which is the highest in the NFL. I think that we'll see a lot of those blitzes, and I think we'll see some of those blitzes early, not to run after Josh Allen, but I think they're going to be run blitzes. And for those of you that don't know the difference, a blitz to get after the quarterback is I'm trying to get one guy through the hole to hit the quarterback. A run blitz is I'm setting my linebackers or other guys into every single hole to stop up the holes in between the offensive linemen to keep a running back contained. So I think that we're going to see our linebackers, whether Nick Bolton, Chenault, I think early in the game, you're going to see them try and stuff up the holes, because I think the Bills are going to try and come out running the football with their running back, because they need to figure out how this offensive line matches up against Kansas City's defensive line. Because if you remember, right, Kansas City did not have Charles Omenihu in the first matchup.
That's a huge
And I
difference.
think that is a huge difference
Huge.
in what this makes, because we saw what this Chiefs defensive line turned into once they got Omenihu back. I don't know if I've made this comparison on this show before, but I think that Charles Omenihu is a lot like Sammy Watkins, where Sammy Watkins was not the best wide receiver on the team when he was here with Kansas City. But he was good enough that as soon as you put him on the field, you had to respect him. You had to take your resources and you had to say, hey, this is a guy that can make big plays. So we can't just leave him out there all by himself.
Yeah.
And that's the way Omenihu is. Now, what did Sammy Watkins allow? Well, he allowed Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to kind of do their thing, right? And you didn't have enough resources to stop everybody. That's what Omenihu is, right? If you put all your resources on Chris Jones, or you try and stop apparently a number one pass rusher that the Chiefs now have on the other side of the field in George
Second all time.
Karlaftis,
Yeah.
you're going to get trouble with Charles Omenihu.
We talked about Quentin. I mean, the guy is he has changed the defensive line, and it's so obvious. He doesn't have to be the guy that gets in the backfield every time, but he's allowing everyone else to get in the backfield. And then when they try to get on him, or they try to get everybody else, he gets in the backfield. That was very apparent in that last game. 8 sacks. This defensive line is dangerous, and that's something that the one thing I could say is that I think Josh Allen's a little better at getting out of trouble than CJ Stroud is. I think Stroud's smaller and he's a little more agile, but Josh is able to. He sees it better. He's got good vision, so it's going to be a little difficult to get 8 sacks. I bet we get 3 or 4 because Charles Omenihu's changed the defensive line. He's made the secondary better. He's made everybody better. Just his presence on the field. We talked about it last week. Sammy Watkins, same thing. He changed the trajectory of the offense. When he got out on the field, it was either if you leave him alone, he's going to torch you because that's what he was good at. He had great hands, great route runner. Wasn't the fastest guy. Yep. And he ran the best routes, caught the ball every single. He never had a drop. Very rarely did Sammy ever drop the ball.
And he was a leading, I think, Chiefs receiver during the playoffs.
That's right.
Literally did everything that Chiefs can do. Was the leading Chiefs receiver.
That's right. So it's really difficult when you got 4-star defensive linemen on that just can get at you. And you know what? FAU. Look at how much better he's done since Omenihu's been back. His whole game has changed since Omenihu's been back on the field. It's eye-opening to see what one player can do. And he's done it. I think that's the one thing the Bills aren't really they're not really counting on. Is the fact that we're a healthy defense now. There's nobody that's not out there. And that changes everything that they have to game plan for.
And I'll say this too. Chris Jones in the first matchup in week 11, Chris Jones had 7 pressures on Josh Allen. And pressures can be just as effective as getting sacks because you're forcing the quarterback to throw the ball
disrupting
sooner
everything
than he wants to. If you're depending on timing routes, right? You're forcing the quarterback to throw the ball where the wide receiver is not there yet. Maybe you force him to make a mistake, like those sort of things. Or, he clocks it at the foot of the running back, and it's an incomplete pass. Like, pressures can be just as effective as sacks. And for Chris Jones to get 7 in the previous game, now he didn't get a sack, but when you're going up against Josh Allen, like, that's just not a guy that gets sacked very often because of his physicality, but also he's just a good football player.
Yeah.
You have to take the wins where you can get it. And while I'm not predicting, Chris Jones to get 7 pressures again, I do think that is a good sign going into this game that despite the fact that Bills offensive line is really, really good, Kansas City was able to manufacture pressures, and now you're better. So hopefully you can, continue to get some sort of pressure against Josh Allen.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of talk going around with the rigged, the refs, the rigged.
I don't even want to go down because it's stupid.
Well, there's so many different stats out there right now that contradict all of that shit. Like the fact that here, let me give you one just for you haters out there. I put
Josh
this out.
Allen has the most roughing the passer calls in
Yeah,
the
that's
NFL.
just one thing.
So,
I mean, you know, it's funny when you really look at it because I put this out one day. I had a bunch of stats that I put out, and one of them was pretty phenomenal because when you really look at it in the grand scheme of it, it's pretty sad. The Chiefs, well, first of all, the Chiefs are good. I think 147 points. I mean, 147 yards and penalties in the fourth quarter. It's like the 21st highest in the NFL. Or no, I'm sorry, 5th highest in the NFL in the fourth quarter. They're mid. They're 21st overall. Just understand this. They're 21st overall since 2018 as far as total penalties gone against them or gone their way. Gone their way, let me put it that way. They are one of the highest penalized teams in the league. They're 5th highest in the league since 2018. 5th highest in the league. There's no argument about this other than the fact that they win regardless of the problems, regardless of the mistakes. Even in the playoffs, that includes playoffs, by the way. Even in the playoffs, they are still one of the most penalized football teams. It's sad that people have to resort to what they do. I mean, there's a guy that used to play for the Broncos. He played for Washington, the Broncos. He is the biggest bitch on social media right now. He is just whining and crying about everything that goes on with the Chiefs. He's on TV. He's on FS1. Mark, I can't pronounce his last name. I remember DT and everybody just burning. He was a guard back in the day, and he would just get bowled over by the Chiefs. I mean, he was pretty good, but he got bowled over by the Chiefs, and he hates us because of it. Yes, that's him. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but that's him. I remember players laughing at him because he would throw such baby fits. He was as bad as Elway when it came to throwing the baby fits. I mean, it was sad. We stood there and giggled at that fat bastard.
Well, I'm about to say he probably it would have been we would have had extra. It would have been worse than what we saw with Elway back.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it was comical, dude. I mean, between Elway's baby fits and then him having a baby fit, you know, you had Neil Smith, you had Derek Thomas that would just make him look stupid.
Hey, the Chiefs got the last laugh though.
They did. But he's just all over social media right now. And look, a lot of it's clickbait. You make money off that shit. Yeah, that's right. They used to call him Stink. That's him. He absolutely hates the Chiefs more than anybody. I think he hates them more than Elway does.
I mean, Elway did hand us a Lombardi. So.
I mean, he did seem kind of like he warmed up. He was like, okay, my time is gone.
Had to, but yeah, I think it was kind of forced. But yeah, I mean, he was such a bitch. It was amazing to me. He was actually fined for cheating. He got caught a couple of times for doing other things, or they allege he did some performance enhancing stuff. And then there were some cheating scandals and some other things he did. He was a spitter. He would spit on the players when he got mad. That was just him. He was a big fucking baby. He is all over the internet right now, all over social media, everywhere, talking about this shit.
But here's the thing, JP. When we look at all this stuff that happens, the Chiefs, hey, 4 or 5 years ago, everyone wanted the Chiefs to beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, and now the roles are reversed. The Chiefs are in a very good spot.
So great.
Yeah, we're the quote-unquote villains, but it's like, and just to kind of see how everything's changed within 5 years, my opinion, personally, you kind of maybe you respect the Patriots a little bit more how they were doing things, but also you kind of see the Chiefs have kind of taken that same approach. But it's not as if they're likable more. I feel like they're more likable than the Patriots. But when you look at the whole thing when you look at everything as a whole, you see that the Chiefs are they're figuring out they're that team every so often that just caught lightning in that bottle very quickly and has lasted for so long. It happened for the Patriots. You see, for some teams, like it happens for a couple of years and it goes away. The Chiefs haven't been able to keep it sustained because they have a franchise quarterback. They've always had all the missing pieces. So now they're at a point where, like, hey, we're kicking butt every week. Alumni as the teams are getting mad. People are mad of other teams. But here's the point. This is greatness. And I wish people would, instead of being all hatred and anger towards other teams, be like, hey, let's sit back and actually realize something great we're seeing here. Exactly. I personally would have wished with Tom Brady, I would have done that regardless. It is what it is. He's more likable now than what he was. I mean, if you look at podcasts and things, he's saying, I was just doing the Belichick way of doing things. We didn't really say much. You saw when he got to Tampa Bay, he was a
Yeah.
more to people likable.
Yeah.
And Mahomes has pretty much been likable the entire time. So the point is this: my PSA announcement, everyone's out there. Try to enjoy this, okay?
Yeah, you're not going
You
to
may
see
never
it forever.
You may
Yeah.
not see this forever. And yeah, this is people hate winners more than they hate whiners. Yeah, that is true because people are jealous. And at the end of the day, this is just a game. Unless you're betting some money, you're really praying.
Exactly. So. I mean, it's comical to see how the roles of. I mean, the some of the stuff that they're comparing it to the Patriots. The difference is we didn't have $8 million in fines for cheating. We didn't have 4 or 5 scandals.
We're doing it the right way.
We're doing it the right way, and we're doing it well because we have a very well-coached football team, a great organization, and it took until you got the best quarterback that's ever played this game to be able to get there. And that's the one thing about Mahomes that I think people don't realize is that all of this shit just fuels him. They think it's just a joke. It fuels him. He doesn't care.
It fuels his team. You have little leaders.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When you look at the leaders compared the Chiefs to like the Bills, I mean, you had Josh Allen, but he was basically held hip and waist with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only do so much with a diva wide receiver. You can only do so much. I'm not saying no hate against Stephon Diggs, but you can't have a quarterback work under those environments because every time something goes wrong, you throwing up angry about this or mad about that. Now, granted, we don't know what conversations were held and things are probably fine, but you can kind of see Josh Allen's more relieved.
Yeah.
Just go out there and play. Don't have to worry about feeding the Diggs the ball all the time.
Yeah. And that's true. I mean, we went through that with Mahomes. I mean, with Tyreek to a degree. That was part of the reason why he didn't come back. Part of the reason. I'm not going to get into the other reason, but it wasn't just the money, and it wasn't just that. It was other things. But they almost took a page out of our book. Okay, let's get rid of the one guy that thinks he is the best that ever walked on this earth, and maybe we'll do what the Chiefs did because look what they did with nobody. You know,
it's not sustainable to pay everybody. My apologies. It's not sustainable to do that. So when you look at all the different pieces, you trade Tyreek Hill, and you got a defensive pieces that have just been helping us in many different ways. The Bills are going to strike gold too. And again, I've said this time after time after time after again. Mahomes and Allen was the new Brady and Manning.
Yeah.
I mean, Lamar's in there too, but he ain't really done much. It's basically Brady and Manning, Mahomes and Allen. That's what it is.
You know, I feel sorry for Lamar right now. I got to say this real quick. Think about from that poor. I like Lamar Jackson for his game. He's not a very arrogant person. He's not one of those jerk-offs. He's just a normal guy that plays the game in a different way than most people play it, and he does it at a high level. Now, he came into this season with Henry, and the way they played together, you wouldn't think that they would have stopped until the AFC Championship game. And it just kicked him in the face at the end of the end of that game, that divisional round. That was just a stab in the face. You got a guy that never drops the ball, that had a horrible game and dropped 2 game-winning passes, basically, a 2-point conversion and a pass, in the second quarter, that he would have never dropped regularly. I mean, look, Mark Andrews is one of the most clipped tight ends in football. He always has been. Barring his injuries, he's been a great tight end. I just feel bad for him, and I think a lot of it has to do with his coaching. I don't think Harbaugh is a good coach.
I mean, they should have kicked the extra point instead of going for 2.
They should have.
Or don't fumble the ball.
Or don't fumble the ball.
That's fair too. Yeah. Again, and Lamar said this, and he's being the leader. This is a team effort. He went up to Andrew and said, "It's on all of us," because Lamar fumbled the ball. Yes,
I love that
on everyone.
Press conference.
It was great.
That's what you want the quarterback to do.
Exactly.
I mean, people want to get on players like Lamar for how he acts. I'm like, hey, he's a class act. Yeah, he's gonna throw a fit me out there on the field. We've all been there before. Quinn's done in sports. JP, we all know you took a bat and probably flung it across the baseball field at one point. We've all been there.
Yeah.
But it's not people are allowed to show emotion. Now, if you hurt someone, that's a different story. But people show emotion, but it's how you handle it afterwards. And he's doing the right thing. Now, he's probably saying some things behind the scenes to his people and stuff. Oh, easily. There's things that's been said. But the point is this. You have to realize and see, to have a guy like Mahomes that does the same approach, has never thrown his guys under the bus, has always been there from even when the receivers were dropping balls left and right. It was looking like the shade the 2011 Chiefs. He stayed composed, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that just shows you how much leadership that he needs. Now, I don't know what all Josh Allen does. because we don't really see much of the Buffalo market and stuff. But the point is this: Mahomes has showed that he's a natural leader that can help this team get to wherever they need to be.
You know, Will just said something, and he's not wrong. The Chiefs defense have to watch Allen for flopping because he is the biggest flopper in football. I mean, he should be in the NBA. He is the biggest. I mean, he's Flop Allen.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it. He's a big actor.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chiefs have to watch that because these refs that we got are kind of a mixed breed setup. I don't know if you guys noticed that. We got Clete Blakeman, and then you got a couple of guys that came over from Hockley's ref crew that are going to be mixed in with this. That's kind of it's kind of scary because the stats for these refs as a whole is not great. I mean, home team, have you seen the home team with this ref? It's like 5-11.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta, I mean, you have to be, the Chiefs are pretty
on
good.
your P's and Q's.
You do.
You have to be prepared.
They're really good about that. I got to give them, most of our penalties are on offense. If you look at our penalties, most of them are on offense. Probably 90.
Jawan Taylor.
But a lot of them. Yeah, I was gonna say how many of those are pre-snap penalties, and not like judge
egregious.
Exactly. You know? We don't get a lot of DPI or any of that. We don't get that stuff. But
also, I don't care about what the stats are for the refs because I think you start treading dangerously close when you start talking about that stuff in order to be able to blame things on the ref.
You do.
I'm not doing that.
You have to be careful. That's all I'm saying. With these guys, you have to be careful because
I think
this is a group that is not. I love the referees for the Super Bowl, love them, but I'm not
in the playoffs. The best teams tend to win, and you know what? Good teams don't do.
Complain.
They don't shoot themselves in the foot with bad PI penalties or holding on the wide receiver.
I'm glad you said that.
Or those sort of things. It turns out that good teams don't commit dumb penalty. Good teams don't have a special teams guy on the first play of the game throw their helmet.
I don't know what that guy was thinking.
That was insane, man. That dude, I was not expecting that.
So
I thought, what the hell happened? I mean,
that's a culture thing. That's a coach thing. And it turns out.
Did you see what he did when he threw the helmet, though?
He pushes a coach.
He shoved his coach like he was going to beat the shit out of him.
I don't know who that guy is, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets cut.
Oh, if he doesn't get cut, he's going to get mentally evaluated because you don't come off on the first play off special teams and do that to your coach. There's something wrong with you. That you're not 100% if you did that. I'm sorry. It doesn't make a difference what the reason was. You don't come out and do something like that. That was insane. I was like, what the fuck just happened? But it happened. So I don't know, man. But I'm glad you brought that up because the one thing that I noticed that the Chiefs are very good at, and it's frustrating for other teams. It's frustrating for the fans of other teams. They're extremely good at making teams make mistakes because they work so hard to try and beat us.
It's not even. It's not even that. I don't know if they make them make mistakes.
They do because they're trying so hard.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think that the Chiefs are so good at not making those mistakes, and then and I think this is the more important part. When you make those mistakes, the best teams take advantage of your mistakes.
Well, absolutely. Right? But the whole thing is, every team that plays against us, it doesn't matter if it's regular season or playoffs. Every single team that plays us, they make mistakes because they try way too hard. And when you try so hard like that, a lot of times it just forces you to make mistakes. And that's a product of everybody on our team staying very calm, playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, great coaching, and extreme athleticism. When you got teams that get so frustrated so quickly that it pushes them over the limit and they start making giant mistakes, whether it's penalties or other mistakes. It's just that's something that they can do, and that honestly is a product of the two coaches that we have. It really is. That is Andy Reid and Spags. Those two guys are the kings of making other people mad, and they sit back and go, oh, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you while you're losing. I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't mean to make you, That's just what they do. Andy doesn't get upset. Spags doesn't get upset. You don't see those guys screaming and hollering on the sidelines. They coach players up, but they don't go off. I've seen McDermott go off on players when they're coming off the field. And that's something that he doesn't know how to handle himself when it comes to that. That is also what they do. They push other coaches to make mistakes. And that's something that because those mistakes are trying too hard. Trying to one up somebody. When you try and run
Not
up
always
somebody,
going to work.
It's not going to work against an elite football team. And that's what they try. Never works. I love it. I think it's great. I think that's why I brought this up because of Spags. Everybody's so worried about Spags leaving. Any update on what? On the Bills? On what injury? What injury?
The Bills players.
There was one player that's not playing at all. He's ruled out. Everybody else seems like they're trying to get out there and play.
Everyone's going to play well, most likely. They'll probably put probable, questionable. They'll play. Those get shot up.
There's one guy that I think it's a tight end. I can't remember who it is now, but somebody is completely out for the game. And they said, I can't remember his name, but I remember them saying it's a pretty hard loss for them. But anyway, Spags is not going. I don't think Spags is going anywhere. Everybody I've talked to said he's not going anywhere. I don't think it's Kincaid. I think he's playing. So for all the people that are concerned about that, most of the teams have hired somebody at this point. For the most part, Stefanski's going back in Cleveland, so that job's not available. I don't think he's going anywhere. From what I heard, there's not a team out there that he's chomping at the bit for. The only one really left, I think, is the Raiders, isn't it? Because the Patriots hired the Jaguars. He ain't going there. And I don't think he'll go to the Saints either. Why would he go to a team that – I'm sorry. He's just not going to do that. He's not going to go to a team that has a bunch of elderly players and as a track record like they have.
Yeah.
You know, he learned from his mistakes the last time. He's not going to go to a team that's a really shit football team. He said Jags are in talks with the Bucks. Yeah, with the Bucks, we'll see. That's absolutely true.
And there's a good chance he may not just leave. No one will leave. So
I don't think there will. We lost one guy so far, Mike. You know, which he's an assistant GM. He's been with us for 16 years. He's a good guy. He deserves the position, but it's not going to change what happens on the field.
Yeah.
So I don't think Spags is going anywhere. Why would he? Okay, first of all, you got to think of it from the Patriots' perspective, how they ran their team. Morganzi. Think about it from how the Patriots handled their team. Josh left once, made a mistake, went to Denver, fucked him over. Well, he screwed it up. And then he went right back. Everybody that ever left the Patriots went back. Spags is smart enough to realize, wait, I'm in the middle of a dynasty here. Why leave? I'm one of the biggest reasons why we have this dynasty. I've got all the players I want in place. I'm not going to go anywhere. Yeah. He's just not. I think people are reading way too much into this whole Spags is leaving stuff. This is the first year. This is the first year. Remember, Caleb, we talked about this years ago. This is the first year that Spags has actually mentioned that he wouldn't mind being a head coach again. Yeah. He didn't say he wanted to be this year. He just said he wouldn't mind being one again.
The right situation. And there's no right situations right now. There's no right situation.
Understand that he is the front runner for Andy's job when Andy does retire. So that's something else that he has to think about. Well, it is. It's the truth. Don't ever call me that again. I will fly home. I will fly home and burn you, man.
Okay. He's coming after you. He's coming after you.
No, he is the front runner for Andy's job. There's nobody else that can do it besides him. Why would you walk away from a perfect situation for 3 or 4 years when you could be running the right situation, the perfect situation?
Now, here's my question, though. Since we're on this topic, is Nagy a different person? Could he be the front runner? Or
I think he would go in a minute. I think Andy would never. Hell no, Nagy is not the front runner.
Not even close. Okay.
Oh hell no, hell no, not no.
You're like no. Okay, he's telling us.
No, Nagy's okay at.
So this will be an in-house.
This is going to be an in-house thing, and I think it's going to be Spags.
Okay.
I don't think he's leaving. I think
he's and Andy the same age though.
No, Spags is like. I don't think Spags is. I don't know. I don't remember how.
They're probably about a 10, 15-year difference.
I think there's about a 10-year difference between the two because Andy's 65. I don't think I think Spags is 55. I think he's close to my age. So I don't know. I don't know how old. I just don't see him leaving. I just can't see it happening. So unless he thinks, I mean, the only way it'd have to be a absolutely perfect situation, and there's none out there. That's the thing. Spags is 65 years old. Holy crap! I didn't think he was that old.
I was gonna say because he looks pretty old.
See, and I don't think he looks that old. I don't think he looks 65. I thought he was like a few years younger than Andy, but I guess not. And that's another thing. Why would
he is 65?
Okay, so why would you take? And that's even better. Why would you take a job?
Andy Reid is
and
66
and fold and have a chance of failing like that with a bad organization. He's already done that, and it killed him. I mean, it was hard on him. I just don't. Why would you want that responsibility at 65 years old that you haven't had in all these years? You got a perfect scenario. You make enough money. You only run half the football team, and you can go home at night.
Yep.
I just don't see it happening. I think everybody's flipping out over nothing. So, anyway, moving on. What's the next thing?
I think we've got a little bit of time. We can do Chiefs offense versus Bills defense. I don't think this discussion is going to be as deep as our, because I think that we all kind of know what this is going to look like, right? I think here's advice to Buffalo: cover Travis Kelce. I think that's pretty good. Look, the Buffalo plays a ton of zone coverage, so I think that Travis Kelce, I think he's bound to get more a lot of targets. I don't know if he has 117 yards because, if we're being honest, a huge chunk of Travis Kelce's yards last week came against with the 49-yard reception, which was the longest in his playoff career.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he has 117 yards again, but I think that we're going to see Travis Kelce have some big, important third down receptions.
Yeah.
I think that Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and honestly, DeAndre Hopkins, I think, plays a big role in this game.
Yeah.
The fact that he got one target, I mean, it was the first time in his career that he didn't have a catch in a game. So I think that we're going to see some big plays, maybe not big as in yards, but I think big as in timing from some of these veteran wide receivers. And I think Xavier Worthy or Hollywood Brown, we're going to see one 50-yard plus bomb score touchdown with either Worthy or Hollywood Brown, because I think that in early downs, I think the Chiefs are going to try and force the ball down the field to try and stretch this Bills defense out. So
I think you'd better expect Pacheco to start the game. Kind of what I've heard.
Two tandem.
Yeah, but Kareem will take it over again.
Pacheco is not the same running back he was last year. I think that he has fully recovered from that injury, and we're not going to see the same level Pacheco as we did last year.
If Andy noticed what everyone else noticed, which I'm sure he did, but Andy's such a damn loyal guy, he may start him for a couple of series, but it's going to probably just be Kareem from that point on. Now, don't get me wrong, Kareem could start. I think he's doing it more or less to keep Pacheco happy. To keep his name Pacheco, I mean, I think that's really what it is. I think Kareem's going to play a big part in this game. Kareem is going to be one of those guys that he's so good at shedding tackles. He's so good at stretching out for the first down. I think he's going to be that guy that just pisses the Bills off. I really do. The thing with Hopkins last week was designed. Why would you put him out there and show any plays, any packages that you have with Hopkins in it?
Wait.
Exactly. You do that when you really need that, because that's what he's there for. But I think Pacheco's going to play. Kareem's going to play a huge part in this game. I mean, he had 47 yards, I think, or 44 yards last week, but it was an extremely important 40-plus yards. And that's,
And my whole big thing with this, and shorter than Quentin, got to catch the ball, got a hole on the ball, and you got to make sure that you do not let Josh Allen do what he needs to do. That's
what
turnovers. Simple.
Turnovers are a big thing. If you look at the top 12 teams that in the least amount of turnovers, right? Bills, Chargers, Ravens, Chiefs, Rams, Lions, Eagles, Commanders, Steelers, Packers, Broncos, Texans. What did those teams do? Oh, they literally all made the playoffs.
Exactly.
So turnovers
Exactly.
are a huge. There's a reason why, like every coach ever, when we talk about coach speak, they're like, well, can't turn the ball over. Because if you look at the teams that turn the ball over the least during the year, the first 12 of them made the playoffs.
Yep.
So, yeah, can't turn the ball over. And look, Kansas City, if you remember in the game earlier this year, on the first pass, Patrick Mahomes overthrew a wide receiver and it was intercepted, right? So can't give them free possessions. I think that with these two teams, Patrick Mahomes is currently on his longest streak of pass attempts without throwing an interception, and he's carried that into the playoffs. So Patrick Mahomes is cooking right now, but that Bills defense has found ways to get Mahomes to turn the ball over both in regular season games and in playoff games. So I do think that, as simplistic as it is, whoever loses the turnover margin is probably going to lose this game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think it's just because these two teams are both so good. Whoever wins this game is winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
These are the two best teams in football, and so any minor mistake you make can really change the game.
Yep.
I agree.
That's true.
I agree.
And with, I guess that's a good kind of, it's, when you look at that at the end of the day, too, it just showed you how dominant the AFC has been over the last so many years.
Yeah.
So, to win most of the Super Bowls and only have the Rams win that one, it's a pretty good spot compared to what it could be. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I do agree. We're in that spot there.
What is your opinion on this whole NFC? Look, man, I have been saying for a long time that Jaden Daniels was the shit. I thought that he was going to be able to do things that other people said I was crazy for thinking that he could do. He's done it. He's in the NFC Championship game for a reason.
Yep.
He took a four-win team, and brought them to the playoffs, and not just the playoffs, but the NFC Championship game. I have a strange feeling they're going to win that game. And
I don't have too much to say, but I think there's a really good chance Jalen Hurts' knee, the Eagles and the Commanders, I just feel like they have that that more of that fight in them where they can get it done. I feel like whoever gets through is going to have a tough task, whoever they're going to deal with on the other side of the bracket. But the point is this: Jalen Daniels has showed he can play. Now, he may have a bad game, he may not. But the point is this: I don't have much to say. He has shown us, hey, he can ball out when time is needed.
He's probably the best rookie, first-year rookie quarterback. I don't know if I've ever seen one as good as him. I mean, there's been a lot of rookie quarterbacks that have come out, but I don't know any of them that have been able to do what he's been able to do his first season.
I agree.
That's very true. He did overcome the play calling midseason. That's very true. And I got to tell you, I don't know, man. That kid, they did it right. Washington's finally done it right.
It's amazing when you get rid of a dysfunctional owner, how quickly that you can turn your franchise around.
Only if the Raiders could do that.
I'm good.
They got some time in our lifetime.
We got to have some dysfunction in the NFL, right? Like the Jets are good for the NFL. They are. They're good. Everybody gets a free win. Everybody gets to shit on the Jets. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Carolina Panthers. I mean, terrible owner, terrible franchise.
Yep,
bad
and
situation.
They're dealing with the effects of it right now.
They really are. I mean, it's been going on for so long now that I don't know. You'd think that. I mean, I guess the other owners are not going to force some of these guys out unless you do something.
Oh yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah, and they're not going to do that as long as they don't do anything crazy like orgy parties and stuff that went on in Washington. But if because why would they? Why would they get rid of them when it just makes it easier for them?
Oh my God!
Todd Haley
nope. Just take it off the screen. Nope, we're not going to get. We're going to be on it for another 2 hours. We don't need those bad memories.
Oh God, that hurt my chest a little bit. That's hilarious. I didn't even think Todd Haley was even associated with football anymore. Has anybody even seen his name on a?
Nope.
Wasn't he in college? Didn't he? Wasn't he like?
Oh yeah, he went to college. He did
like
college
in Arizona or something.
Yeah, for a little while. I don't think it was very long. I mean, if it was, that's surprising to me.
USFL.
The USFL.
Oh yeah, USFL. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, he's
football.
a scrub. God.
well, maybe to put us back on a more happier note, what's our score
Yeah.
predictions?
Yeah,
Let's
let's
end
do
that with
that.
that. Let's end with tonight with our score predictions to make us happier.
So, as somebody who predicted the Bills to win the first matchup, I feel much better about this game.
You suck for
So-
doing that too, by the way. I just want to let you know.
What?
You're the reason why.
I'm just saying, I did pick the Bills to win the last matchup. So I'm choosing the Chiefs. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game, but I think that for the first half, it's not going to be. And I think the score by the end of the first half is probably going to be like 13-10 Bills.
Yeah.
And then
I can see
between the
that.
two teams, there's going to be like 27 points scored in the fourth quarter. Like, I think that the fourth quarter is just going to be a frenzy of scoring between these two teams.
Mhm.
And I think we're going to have something very similar happen in the 13-second game where whoever has the ball last is going to win because neither one of these quarterbacks is just going to go down and that they're going to go down fighting.
Mhm.
So my final score is going to be 38-40 Chiefs.
Holy crap. Okay.
30-14.
30. You said
38-40.
Oh, 38-40. Okay, good. All right. JP, what you got?
nothing like that.
Okay.
I just can't see that. I don't look. First of all, the Bills start off extremely slow in every game they play in. That's just what they do. They start off slow. Josh Allen looks like shit, and then the second half they usually come on strong. The difference is that we kind of start off slow sometimes. So it really depends on what team shows up in the first quarter. You know, is it going to be Josh Allen of normal, or is he going to come out swinging? Is it going to be Patrick Mahomes moving down the field in no time and scoring quick? That's the hard part. I do think it's going to be a little higher scoring game. I think it's a 7-point game.
7? Okay.
I think it's a 7-point game. I think it's going to be something along the lines of 32, maybe 35, 28, 35 in that range. I don't see it being that close.
Okay.
I think the Chiefs got it.
We'll pull away at one point.
I think they will.
Okay.
I don't know if Josh Allen is ready for this defense yet. He didn't get to play the full defense last time, and he didn't get to play what Spags normally does in a defense. So I think that's where the disconnect comes from McDermott and Andy, or Spags, Andy, and McDermott, and whatever he's got on his side of the field, and Josh Allen.
Okay.
Because they never get to see what Andy does in the regular season. And Andy changes it up every year. Every year in the playoffs, it's something new.
Okay.
I don't think they're ready for this. I just don't.
So JP, you're giving them about, what do you say? Let's say 35, 28.
Yeah.
28. Quinn says 40, 38. I'm going to say 33-22 Chiefs.
Okay.
I think the Chiefs will be able to pull away. I think if all things goes the way it should be, the Chiefs are going to be able to pull away, and then the Bills are going to try to catch up, but eventually at the end. Yeah. Too little, too late.
Yeah, I like that.
I can see it happening.
Fizz has got 32-31 Chiefs.
Oh, Fizz wants to stress us out, but here's the thing. As long as they win by 1 point, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. I don't want that fucking stress. I'm sorry, but man, I don't want the stress. How long have we been dealing with this stress? I don't want it.
You're going to get it.
Shut it.
This game is going to be so close up until the final minute. There is no way that either of these two teams are pulling away from the other one. We're going to see there's going to be some great defensive plays. I mean, this is going to end up being a classic Bills Chiefs game.
Yep.
That's what this is going to be.
I still think it's going to be a 7-10 point game.
Well, we'll find out.
All right. Well, with that being said, I don't know what else you got. You got anything else?
That is it.
All good to go.
All right. Well, I guess we will do a post-game show after the. Oh no, it's going to be too late, isn't it, for you guys? It's going to be too late to do a post-game show.
Possibly. It depends on when it ends.
Yeah, some of us got to wake up. I guess JP left. Okay. With that being said, we will see you guys either after the game or next Wednesday when we do a show, and hopefully we are talking about Chiefs Super Bowl and not Chiefs off season, but we'll have a show regardless. With that, have a good night, Kansas City, and remember, go Chiefs.
Chiefs.